Hey guys, it's Shannon with Patriot Memory, and welcome to CES 2024, where our theme is engineering the performance of tomorrow. And that means we're showing you not only our latest and greatest that we're either just releasing or have released very recently, we're also showing you our new engineering prototypes, which covers products that you might not see for a year plus, depending on exactly how it goes. So let's dive in and see exactly what we've got out here in CES 2024. Now, obviously, Patriot Memory, it's in the name. So we're going to start with our memory offerings. Now, I got to go through our latest and greatest first. Obviously, we have our DDR5. That's what we're going to be showing. So you've got our standard all the way from our basic JDEC, our 4800 plus to 5600s on our Patriot signatures. Then you've got next, what launched was our Viper, which is our gaming brand, Viper Gaming. You have our Venom, non-RGB and RGB. Then you have our more entry-level Elite 5. Along with a recently released partnership with Asus Tough Gaming Alliance, our Elite 5 Tough Gaming Alliance RGB. So that is a really cool one, and we'll actually show you a system based around that shortly. And then we have our extreme stuff, the real fun toys, the Extreme 5. Now I know we showed that in CES 2023, but we've really turned the screws on this stuff and got it well over 8200 already. We now have our non-RGB, which goes up to 8200 on an XMP profile. So as long as you got a good 2-DIMM board and a solid CPU, you can have some amazing performance and great overclocking potential. Speaking of that, we'll be taking a look at that later, but there's also something really cool we want to show you on a new engineering prototype. Now, these are what are called CKD. These are a clock buffer chip that on future platforms will allow a higher JDEC speed, so your base operating speed of 6400, 7200, or even higher in the future. It's a tiny little chip. And this is a future-looking product because this tiny little chip, when you put it on a DRAM module, like our DDR5, if you just cover this up, it looks like a regular DDR5 module. But once you include this, it buffers the signal from the internal memory controller on your CPU, and it will actually allow less load on the CPU theoretically and allow much higher base operating speeds along with possibly way higher overclocking. So the upper limits we're seeing right now, like 9,000 stability roughly, which you'll see soon on our test bench, you might be able to get way higher than that on even more standard motherboards and more regular platforms. Now next up in our DRAM, we have our new RDIMMs. I know most of you may not be familiar with that, but now that AMD has released the newest Threadripper and Intel has its newest workstation Xeon platforms, they support DDR5 registered memory. These are RDIMMs that operate at a higher voltage than your standard UDIMMs that consumer like your desktops run. So therefore, instead of 5 volt, you have 12 volt RDIMMs. We've been working on these, and they're now going to be overclockable up to 8,000 plus, which is kind of a theme, as you've seen with some of our memory. We really like to push the performance, and it's no different with these. These just happen to be more for a let's say, graphic artist or creative environment, but still we want to be able to offer max performance where it's needed, and that's where you see here. This kit actually is running 7800, and also another little sneak peek you're going to see is the SSD you see testing. You may remember that from CES 2023 when we first were debuting the prototype of our Generation 5 NVMe. This new Gen 5 NVMe named PV553 is our first 12K drive, our 12 gigabytes a second. It's right here in this system, and we even have more in our SSD selection that we'll show you shortly that well extends that to well past 14 gigabytes a second. Now, as I mentioned with the PV553, this is our 12K, or 12 gigabyte per second drive. This has taken a little while because we didn't just want to slap a massive cooler on it. We wanted to make something that was very performant, sleek, elegant, and as thin as possible. So you can possibly fit it under GPUs, add-in cards, accelerators, whatever it may be. This is also one of the first Gen 5 SSDs that uses a blower style fan. So it's not using an axial fan, so you're not blowing air pressure into a heatsink and having it get lost as it's got to change directions. This is a blower style fan that's actually blocked on all ends and blows straight through the main heatsink here. So that's going to keep the drive nice and cool. And if you were to run this full tilt, which would get quite noisy, it will stay well below like 40, 45 degrees. But that's super safe on Gen 5. You can have it with its low noise cable it comes with at 5 volts. And you can get that down to, let's say, mid 40s, maybe even low 50s. You could even adjust it on like an adjustable header and maybe even crank that down a little more, as long as you keep it below throttle point, which is something, if you do that, you want to keep track of. But you can do that. We give you that option as a performance user with a high performance drive like this. Now, we also have the new E26 Max, the newest Phison controller, for 14 gigabytes second plus. you'll notice it has the same cooler. We're still working on this. This is an engineering preview. The PV553 will be launching soon. This one will be a little later, 14 gigabytes a second plus, and this may change a little because we're still thermally testing, trying to figure out if this cooler will handle it or if we need to re-engineer it to ensure it's a little better. So expect this will likely change a little before it comes out to market. But the PV553 will absolutely come out very similar to what you're seeing here within probably the next couple weeks or within early Q1, which we're in right now, of 2024. Also, another engineering preview is our first USB 4 product. This is a full SSD, so it'll have a case around it eventually, but this is the PCB, and this will do over 3,720 megabytes a second read and 3,780 megabytes a second write. Now that'll vary based upon platform, but that's some great performance for external storage at up to 4 terabytes. And then you may see a couple guys here. These don't even have names yet because they're just severely prototype products. This one is Type-C only, slider drive, but it's not actually a thumb drive, it's a portable SSD. And that's a very important differentiator because thumb drives tend to use different quality and different types of controllers in flash memory. This uses SSD class memory, therefore it's gonna have very strong reliability and very solid performance regardless of its workload. Another of the same thing, this one is also over 2,000 megabytes a second read and about 1,800 write so far. But that's also its very early engineering preview, so some of these can change. And then you have a Duo unit, which slides to a Type-C and a Type-A and can come with an adapter cable. It is metal, and it will do 1,000, 1,000, and it's a thumb drive style as well, but uses SSD components internally as well. And then we have our recent release, which is our transporter. This is a portable SSD, Type-C, very small and thin, good for people who are content creators, need to carry their media on the go, super thin, does the job well, along with our Viper VXD. This is one where you put your own SSD into it, and you can basically make it whatever you want, along with a splash of RGB just to kind of flare it up a little bit. And then our other two SSD products, we have our VP4000 Mini, which is a 2230 drive, great for your Steam Decks, ROG Allies, Microsoft Surfaces, or anything else that'll take a 2230 size drive. Our VP4300 Lite, which is basically one of the best drives we've made, especially for something like PS5 or any sort of gaming drive, as it is a great DRAM-less drive that has superior performance. And then one more thing we wanted to show you here, and it's once again kind of an early preview, is the Asus BTF. It's a hidden connector board, but we've been working strongly with our partnership with Asus with our recently released Elite 5 Tough Gaming Alliance memory, and we wanted to show you a build here. Unfortunately, we couldn't get a case that fit the BTF board in time, so we used one of the tough cases that will at least kind of carry the theme. Next up, we have some of our system integrating partners, like Meta PC here. You can see we have two systems, custom designed with our Viper logo integrated. And the reason we brought these into the show was to showcase that a lot of people, you may not expect, all use Patriot memory. So if you're buying a system from them or Zydax or many other major manufacturers of systems, a lot of them use Patriot memory simply because performance, quality, and stability. Like for example, these Meta PC systems, 4 sticks of DDR5 Viper Venom and 4 sticks of Extreme 5. Now obviously, 4 sticks of Extreme 5, I'd say you have to be really cautious. You gotta have a proper platform and you're probably detuning them a bit, but you know what, you have a lot of ability to tighten them up or what have you. But overall, just some really awesome gaming systems. And as you can see, we are fully stress testing it with Power Wash Simulator, mostly because we enjoy playing the game. There's other games here too. But overall, these are some of our systems. Now let's go take a peek at the Zydax system. Now next up, we have the little guy from Zydax here. This may be a little system, but it packs a lot of power. This small Jonesbo case they put together has a 4070 Ti, a super powerful system, and packed with Patriot Viper components, both SSD and DRAM. So this thing has a full sleuth of DDR5, along with a large NVMe SSD installed, so it could fit all your games. Once again, this is just to show the level of partners that we have working with us that use our memory and storage to ensure that when you order a gaming system from them, you're getting something that has the best across the board. Now, one of the last things from Patriot's DRAM we wanted to show is, like every time we're here at CES, we always want to show when we push the limits. Well, with Extreme 5 last year, we showed when we were pushing 8,000 and trying to push beyond. Well, we've developed a lot more, but we didn't just want to show you a top tier platform that easily could hit it with like a super bin CPU. So what we did was we chose to go a little more simple. We went with a standard mid-range 13900K CPU, not the very best one we have in our stack, more of a middle of the road one, kind of a average CPU lottery. And we went with the older Z790 Apex, not the new Encore, just to kind of stack the deck against it. So then what we did was we took two of our prototype modules, which is where we're really trying to push how far we can bend these speeds. Then we took and showed exactly how much room we give you to move. So as you can see here, we took an 8,000 kit of Patriot Memory Extreme 5, and we pushed it over 9,000. Benchmark stable. Granted, you're not going to want to play games or something like this. That's what we make Elite 5 or the Viper Venom for. If you're looking to have all the knobs and switches available to you with Extreme 5, this is the kind of stuff you can do even if you don't have the very best chip in the world. As long as you're buying Patriot Memory Extreme 5, you know you've got some headroom, some tweaking capabilities, and basically you can have a lot of fun pushing the frequency on your DDR5. Now, that doesn't mean that every single time you're going to hit, let's say, 9,000, but at the end of the day, we're trying to show that you have a lot of room to have fun, push performance, and really raise the frequency if overclocking is your game. One last thing before we let you go is I want to show you the last arm, another arm of the Patriot Memory family, and that is our ACPI brand. This is one you may not have heard of, but this is actually our vertically integrated focused brand that deals with everything from robotics to machinery, point of sale systems, along with OEM and ODM opportunities. So basically we have a much larger expanded ability for SMT line product creation, even a larger engineering capability. Simply the ability to build everything from hardened high security or even like highly encrypted products or specialized unbuffered DDR5, DDR4 DIMMs, pretty much anything that a professional environment might need. ACPI could have a solution for you. This includes everything from servers for SATA DOMs to specialized M.2 drives and pretty much anything across the range. We actually have a full expansion beyond our normal consumer products under Patriot and Viper. With ACPI, we go even a step further on being able to create custom solutions based upon large-scale business needs. Now we've reached the end of it. I know we've showed you a lot. If you've made it this far, first of all, thank you for sticking around. Second of all, this just shows that no matter whether we're looking at every product we make or we're giving you a preview to some of the engineering that Patriot is working on right now, we have a lot to show and you have a lot to look forward to. There's a lot of things that are really exciting coming from Patriot Memory, whether we're talking enthusiast overclocking DRAM, whether we're talking professional solutions from ACPI, or whether we're talking new RDIMMs for a Threadripper or the Intel Xeon workstation platform. We've got a lot coming from high-speed storage, you name it, pretty much across the board. If you need something for your system, Patriot Memory likely has a solution. And if we don't, we're probably working on one and we just haven't showed it to you yet. Thank you for joining, and I look forward to seeing you next time.